But it's like, if I'm going to have added sugar, I'm getting crumble cookies. Hello. I'm not getting it from a Cliff Bar. It's the same amount of added sugar. So once people start to realize that and realize you don't have to restrict your favorite things, because when you restrict things, like scarcity and deprivation always leads to overindulgence. Always. So if you're telling yourself I can't have a donut, I can assure you I'm going to house a dozen donuts at some point, probably every Saturday night. That's just going to happen.
Hey there, business enthusiasts. Welcome to the Chills Podcast, brought to you by All Weather Roof. Because just like a sturdy roof, our conversations are built to last. I'm your host, Brent Loberg, and we're about to dive into the world of business, family, and the moments that give us those exhilarating chills. Ever wonder what keeps successful people inspired? Well, get ready to find out as we chat with some fantastic all-weather customers, partners, vendors, and friends. We'll explore their triumphs, challenges, and maybe even some unexpected secrets. After all, business is not just about numbers. It's about the people behind them. So grab your metaphorical popcorn and join us on this journey. Get ready to be inspired, maybe even get a few chills of your own. This is the Chills Podcast. Let the goosebumps begin. Let's introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your companies.
Okay, so my name is Annie Deckert, and I do have two different companies, completely unrelated. My first one is I'm an economic development consultant. So it's interesting, as I've been traveling, a lot of people refer to it as kind of an owner's rep. So basically, businesses hire me, predominantly manufacturers, when they're looking to grow or expand, help them find a good site, because if you've, as you know, kind of in the industry, a lot of times it's really hard to find the site that you need. You might find the perfect site, and then you maybe have to get a rezoning or a conditional use permit or amend an ordinance. There's just all these kind of land use and development applications involved. And so I handle all of that for businesses. So I do that. I spend a lot of time doing site analysis, especially in this area that we're in now. I work with so many manufacturers that will say, I can be in the Northwest Metro. It doesn't really matter where. I need 12 acres. Well, people don't realize you can find, 2 or 3 sites that may work for them. And depending on which county you're in, if you're underneath the Metropolitan Council or not, you can save significant money and or tap into certain incentives you're eligible for just crossing a geographical line.
Okay.
So I spend a lot of time doing that. And then just basically utilizing all the different grants and stuff that are available for growing, expanding, buying machinery and equipment. And then kind of a tertiary service, because once I start working with people, I kind of continue to work with them, not forever, but a little bit, because there's different money available for renovations, for purchasing equipment, for training your employees, especially in the state of Minnesota. There's a ton of grant money available for, a CNC machinist or a registered nurse to job shadow, pay for an internship for, a kid to come into your business. Then you can send them to go to college. You can get an internship for that. You can pay to do customized training on site. So there's a lot of that stuff too. So that's my first business. So I've been doing that since 2012.
Okay.
And then my other business is I am a nutrition coach, and I have my own sub line.
All right.
Yeah.
You grew up in northern Minnesota.
Northern Minnesota.
Yeah.
Didn't realize how long the O was until I moved down south.
Yeah.
Get it out of the way. Coupon, bag, about. What else do people make fun of me for? A lot of things. Where? And then you say Minnesota.
That's the thing.
You can't just stop it.
When people ask where you're from, and it's, why is it that word?
Yeah. I'm like, well, you say it. And then I go back and forth. Bag. Like vague. It never stops. So it's pretty funny.
Yeah, exactly. So what made you go with the nutrition?
Yeah, so it's interesting. So with my consulting job, and I work with businesses, but I also do a lot of work with nonprofits and units of government too. Because once you kind of understand how businesses speak, but how governments speak and work together, you can do a variety of different things. And I'd been doing that for quite some time. Gets pretty political at times, and then COVID happened. And kind of during that time, I thought, I'm kind of sick of doing this. It's funny, I think my parents... I drive my parents bonkers because of what every 5-6 years I say, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to quit my good government job, right? Because I started out in government and start doing a consulting business that no one can explain still. But during that time, I was, at home, of course, and then I was gaining weight, and then I was making me mad. And I thought, I'm too smart to let the number on the scale make me mad. And when I grew up, I was in gymnastics. And, as a woman, and a lot now that I coach men too, I did every fad diet under the sun. We live in the age of Amazon Prime, where we think I eat 2 salads and I go for a walk. Why don't my pants fit? And so I thought, this is dumb. And I took a bunch of different nutrition certifications, just to more teach myself the science behind food and fat loss and things like that. And I really enjoyed it. Saw a lot of changes in my own life, started unofficially helping my friends and family, and thought, I'm going to start a business. And so then I started that more as a side hustle, but now they kind of go back and forth, but of which one I give most attention to, because it's just I'm a standalone businesswoman. So
sure. Where did you get your training?
For the nutrition?
Nutrition, yeah.
Through NASM, which is the National Academy of Sports Medicine, and then NCI, which is the Nutritional Coaching Institute.
Okay.
So, and then I had purchased, oh no, I'm going to mind blank where it's from, all the training for a personal trainer, but the thought of learning every muscle and bone of your body makes me want to vomit. Like, I start doing it to be a certified personal trainer, right? And I can't. There's so much biology and science behind the nutrition. Your mind would be, I feel like I should be a doctor with the training you have to go through to get these certifications. But then the kicker is now I've coached, because I do one-on-one custom coaching, and then I have like different group coaching programs and things like that people evolve to. And I've coached almost 100 people, and not one person has asked me if I'm certified in anything.
Oh,
but I can't have to sleep at night. I need to know that I'm I'm actually certified. Nobody cares. Absolutely nobody cares.
So what are the lines in your supplement line?
Yeah, so I have protein powder, pre-workout, super greens, and I just added BCAAs because I started supplements. Not intentionally, but it's a lot of work doing them, and I only offer things that are better than what's on the shelf because it is a lot of work and a significant investment. So I slowly have been adding them over the years. For example, a lot of people want me to add collagen peptides, like the Vital Protein, the blue thing, and I've experimented a little bit because I work and try it because I want to like it and I want to be able to take it. And it's just garbage. And I'm like, just buy the Vital Peptides because I can't make it better than that.
Sure.
And then just from what consumers are asking, because I sell direct to consumer and wholesalers as well, and everybody's been asking for clear protein. Are you approaching?
I've heard of clear. Yeah.
It's super trendy, and I think it's stupid. If you look at the nutrition label, there's nothing fancy about it. It's no more. In fact, it has a smaller protein ratio than my protein powder does. But I've experimented with, and it still looks like Elmer's glue, and I'm shelfing that. I'm not going to offer clear protein. So sorry everybody who's asking for it. Buy what's ever out there already. So
why do people buy is it whey?
Yes, mine's whey. I have a couple of vegan coming down the line because a lot of people have asked for that. Because kind of the biggest thing to look at it tastes great, number one. Mm-hmm. Dissolves really well. Gotten a lot of good feedback on how well it dissolves, but the protein ratio is amazing. So the way to figure it out, and I tell people this, I'm the worst saleswoman. I'm like, send me a label. I'll tell you if yours is good or if it's made at the same facility as mine because I can tell. Mm-hmm. I said, look at the grams per serving, right? So mine's 32 grams. Okay, so when it says like 1 scoop or 2 scoops, and then you look at the protein per serving, and mine's 24 or 25. So that means the difference, which would be, 8 grams or am I doing math?
Somewhere.
How's my math? I have degrees too. But
so I use my calculator for that.
Mine's between 75 and 77% protein, which is amazing because the rest is filler, right? And so you're going to need a little bit of filler. But if you look at, muscle milk, I probably shouldn't name it, but the main ones you see on the shelf, oh my gosh, they're 40%, maybe 50%. So nutritionally, if you break it down, you might as well have some egg whites and 3 Oreos because there's so much added sugar and the ingredients list is this long. So I use very minimal ingredients and no added sugar, very low calorie, especially if you're trying to lose weight and build muscle. You want the biggest protein for your buck, right? Less calories for a higher amount of protein. That's what mine is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where did you get the protocol for how you coach your people?
I made it.
Did you do it all yourself?
I did. And it's funny is that, I think within any industry, especially as you start older, as an adult, I look now back about when I first started and I thought, oh my gosh, how did those people even lose weight? Because you just keep learning more and more. But sometimes you can know too much because you got to just dumb it down because when you get passionate about something, if it's not clear, I tend to give way too many details about everything.
Sure.
And people say, I don't care the science. I just want to put my pants on. Right. So I kind of over the course of time, I was in a really great position starting a new business because I coach. I'm a business coach through a grant program with the state of Minnesota too. So I help startup businesses start out. And the nice part, if you're looking to start a new business, I was in a great position where financially, this nutrition business didn't matter for me. And I work with a lot of people now, a lot of fitness coaches, personal trainers, life coaches. And I say, if you can coach people for free first, do it. Because one, you can kind of put together your systems and processes. You can see what works. You can see what doesn't work. They can give you feedback. And then you have testimonials and actually evidence of the business that you're trying to do. I don't even remember what question you asked me. What did you ask me?
I don't even know.
How did I come up with yes, I created the process myself.
Sure.
Because it is custom with folks, but I have been able to kind of each person is different, but there's kind of 3 phases, which really any good nutrition coach is going to tell you this exact same thing. Probably the most satisfying thing as a coach is when someone sends me a reel from Instagram of something I've been telling them for 6 months. And they're like, oh, look at this guy said what you tell me all the time. I'm like, that's crazy. Because it's all science. So at the beginning, it's priming your metabolism, because I want your metabolism to be as efficient as possible first. Because when you've come from a past of fad dieting or just inconsistent eating, your metabolism isn't kind of where it should be. And 99% of people are eating far less than they should be at their size and weight. And it's we always hear kind of the 1,200, 1,500 calories. That's because everyone downloaded MyFitnessPal and said, I want to lose 2 pounds a week as fast as possible. And that's kind of where everybody got it, but that's literally enough calories for like a 4-year-old. So I get people's metabolism to where it should be, because I tell people all the time, I said, if you think you're going to lose 10 pounds in 2 weeks, you're not for me. I'm just making your metabolism go backwards. So get your metabolism as efficient as possible. And I do a lot of education through my coaching, because when people understand why they're doing something, they're so much more likely to adhere to it consistently. So once we kind of get to the point, I'm like, okay, cool, your metabolism's awesome. I teach about macronutrients. We put together balanced meals based upon how they currently eat, because I want to make as minimal changes to their diet as possible. So it's a lifestyle change. It's not a start and end date, because with diet culture, why people they lose weight and gain it back. They lose it, they gain it back. We've been taught, eat this, not that. You start on this day, it's a 90-day challenge. I mean, it's a lifestyle. It's not a start and finish thing. So once they do that, then we go into a calorie deficit. I call it maximizing fat loss, right? So we get to the point where you want to be kind of weight-wise and appearance-wise. What most people notice is you start to quickly not realize how much the scale says, because your body can change so much without the scale moving at all. Because muscle upon a fat weigh the same, but they take a significant proportion of your body differently. Muscle, golf ball, pound of fat, softball. So as a coach, the best thing is the scale is barely moving, but I have them take measurements and pictures, but they're just shrinking, because that means they're maintaining their lean muscle mass and their metabolism's going up. And then at the end, it's kind of lifestyle optimization, right? So it's like, cool, you got to your goal weight or your goal bench press or whatever we're trying to do. Then people kind of, you're not just done. This is, how do I maintain this? And so it's teaching people big picture. How can you do this without always having to track your food or pay attention to your cravings and how you're sleeping at night, and how you can kind of adjust your food accordingly based upon how you're feeling. Sure.
Yeah. I like the muscle as an organ. And we talked a little bit about longevity, and I listened to Peter Tia and Dr. Rhonda Patrick, and just that the whole muscle mass thing is,
it's wild.
It's gained a lot of traction.
Well, it's because it's real. I mean, it's true science, and finally, I think eating healthy is starting to be a little more trendy, because just in the last 5 years of coaching, I've noticed a wide variety of more healthier options in processed food, right? Ideally, you just want to eat whole foods, because our bodies were designed to run optimally, but that's not realistic. But now, instead of just one protein noodle, there's 6 different options. So it's starting to get a little bit better, but just with your lean muscle mass, I mean, total daily energy expenditure. Are you familiar with that? TDEE.
Yeah.
So there's a lot. So basically, we're burning calories all day long.
Yeah.
Everybody is. And I show all my clients, I teach them kind of these fundamental things. About 60 to 70% of the calories you burn in a day are directly tied to how much lean muscle mass you have. Period. Right. Your exercise activity thermogenesis. That's EAT. That's your going to Orange Theory, going to work out. Right. That's 10%. Your food digesting is 10%. So literally, basically burn the same amount going and sweating your. Can I swear?
Yes.
Okay. Like sweating your ass off at the gym, right? As you do just digesting your food. And then the other 15% is called non-exercise activity thermogenesis, NEAT. That's, going to get your groceries instead of having them delivered, taking the stairs instead of the elevator. Because we all kind of know those people that go to the gym constantly and then their body never changes. It's like, well, what's happening? Because they're sedentary, right? And they're doing insane amounts of cardio, and they're doing nothing to build their lean muscle mass. So 60 to 70% of their life, when they're just sitting on their ass, they're burning way fewer calories. So if you can focus on getting stronger, I've actually got a lot of my clients, their BMR, it's called your basal metabolic rate, that's 60%. I've increased it by over 100 calories a day, right? So I mean, sitting on their butt watching Netflix, they're burning an extra 3,000 calories a month. That's almost a pound. Doing nothing, eating the same thing. So I can just geek out over that stuff. So I think that's pretty cool.
What's your thought on organic or not organic?
Oh, it depends on what the food is and who the manufacturer is. Most of it is just marketing and it's garbage. Because the same stuff, folic acid, it's all still tied in there. I mean, that's why nutrition is so confusing, is because it's just not black and white. I mean, grow all your stuff in your backyard. Can you do that?
Yeah.
I mean, because that's ideally where you want it. But
Yeah.
really, if 80% of the time you're eating whole and minimally processed foods, eat what you want the other 20% of the time. And that's a big psychological thing that a lot of my clients have a tough time with. So like they're sitting here buying the Kodiak oatmeal and all these healthy things. They have more added sugar than Oreo cookies in there. So I teach people a ton about, labels and ingredients to look at. But it's like, if I'm going to have added sugar, I'm getting crumble cookies. Hello. I'm not getting it from a Cliff Bar.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same amount of added sugar. So once people start to realize that and realize you don't have to restrict your favorite things, because when you restrict things, like scarcity and deprivation always leads to overindulgence. Always. So if you're telling yourself I can't have a donut, I can assure you I'm going to house a dozen donuts at some point.
Yep.
Probably every Saturday night. I mean, that's just going to happen. So it's really interesting. The behavioral aspect of it is fascinating to me.
I always tell the story of when I grew up, my parents had Coke in the house. They loved Coca-Cola.
True blue Coke.
What?
Like not diet, not just Coke. Let's
Coca-Cola
go.
Classic.
Yep.
And for me it was like every now and then I'd have a Coke.
Yep.
But when my buddies would come over, they're like, "Holy crap, you guys have pop?" Mm-hmm. They never had pop, and they're just like, it wasn't a big deal to me because it was always there.
Right.
Kind of what you were just talking about.
Right.
So, anyways, you have a lot of businesses, very entrepreneurial.
Yes.
Share with the audience a little tidbit of advice for starting a business, or what you recommend, or some hardships or things.
Man, so many things.
Okay.
Well, definitely when you start out with, there's so many things. One, you need to accept you can't do everything for your business. Now, granted, when you're starting out, if that's your only thing you're doing, you're going to be doing everything, your QuickBooks, your accounting, your marketing. Mm-hmm. But realizing you're going to have to invest a little bit, you need to figure out, you need to spend your time, what is the highest and best use of your time, right? Can I do QuickBooks? Yes. Do I love it? No. Does it take me forever? Absolutely. How about I pay someone $300 a month to do it for me? So then I have more time to, charge my billable hours or coach or whatever I'm trying to do. So realizing that you're not going to be able to do everything yourself. I also think, especially with any business, especially when you're starting small, but when you're doing something like mine, which really, besides my supplements, nothing I have is tangible. It's all my brain, right? At the beginning, I remember, because you're so out of your comfort zone, I would just negotiate against myself. But, I'd meet with you and say you wanted to hire me, and you'd say, okay, I want to, build this building, and how much do you charge? I'd be like, well, I charge this, but I do work really hard. And I think of, mm-hmm. is really pausing when you're selling yourself, because if somebody came to you, they're already basically saying, I want to give you my money. So it's yours to lose. Mm-hmm. So you have to be really careful with that. Also, know your value. Don't be scared to raise your prices. That was something that's been super, super hard for me. And then also just taking risks, and it's okay to fail. Because, I mentioned, I can't remember if we were talking on here, and I was work with a ton of established businesses, but then also a lot of brand new businesses, right? And so they'll get so scared to take a risk. And it's like, when I work with people, I'm like, what's your biggest failure? And they don't know. I'm like, then you're not trying hard enough at all, because you have to make big mistakes and big failures and then bounce back and not be scared to pivot. Because I think so often, and I'll work with businesses, that are maybe 2-3 years in, and they have this perfect business plan and all of these things, and it'll be the first time they're meeting with me, and I'll just say, like, this will never work. And it's like I took away their birthday. Yeah. And I'm like, but you have to be willing to change, because you can think you know what your business is going to be. Or when I started consulting and then with my coaching, I made my website thinking this is what I would do. And I wasn't too far off, but you can't be devastated if it doesn't work out, right? Mm-hmm. Because you don't know where the market's going to lead, and you have to be okay to be able to pivot and fail and just get up and dust yourself off and keep going.
Sure.
There, bullet that out.
I like it.
Probably like 17 things in there.
I like it. So the name of the podcast is called The Chills.
Yes.
So what in any of your businesses gives you the chills, those feel-good moments?
Oh, gosh. Oh, there's so many. I would say, and this probably sounds very counterintuitive to the question you just asked me, but so with my consulting business, I do a lot. When someone's going to build a new building, right, I kind of handle everything. All the public meetings, planning commission, council, do all the applications. Probably the best feeling even though it's a little offensive, is they'll forget to invite me to their groundbreaking.
Oh,
Because but then I know I did my job well, right? Because I made it so easy. I'm like, you really don't have to do anything. I'll have you come to the final meeting so you can thank the community and things like that. But ideally, if I'm doing my job right, you will never really hear about how any of this is going or the process. So that's the most flattering. I guess as far as the chills, not a huge deal, but with a lot of these businesses, it's so interesting how, and again, which the business owner shouldn't know how to, navigate zoning or change a zoning ordinance so they can move somewhere. Mm-hmm. But so many of my projects, they say, we never would have done this if you weren't involved. And I just think that that's really cool because just the impact on the lives of the businesses and the employees and just the community around it. I've done a lot of work in the Elk River Otsego area, like where Gator Truck Center is and Sport Tech, all of those in that whole industrial park are my clients. Mm-hmm. And the Colburn's in Otsego and the PF Machine, all of those, like all working together. If like one of them wouldn't have happened, that whole area would have been developed differently. And I think that's just really cool to drive through and say, oh, this is cool. And then, people would probably get annoyed. It's like, oh, we contributed to that MnDOT overpass. Sorry, guys. Things like that. So that part's just really fun just because I see so many businesses' growth stifled just because they're not sure what questions to ask or what process to do at the city level. Because they'll just call the city and say, hey, I want to build here. Can I? And they might get routed to the receptionist who, best intentions, but she just says, nope, it's not zoned right. And then a community loses out with something big where she maybe just didn't read the zoning correctly.
Sure.
If that makes sense. So that for that. And then with my nutrition coaching, honestly, it's, and I hate this term, and if you guys can think of another term, I would love it, but helping people kind of find food freedom, like stop feeling guilty for eating things. Mm-hmm. I mean, one of my things my clients always, and I say to them right away, I'm like, don't say good food, bad food. It has no moral value. It's not going to cheat on you. It's not going to like kick your dog. You can eat. It's okay to be hungry, and making it so they can kind of stop all the food noise and have birthday cake with their kid and not feel guilty and just really, really change their life because I do a lot of, surveys, getting feedback and testimonials and stuff for marketing. Yep. And never do they say their first thing that they're most valuable is the weight that they lost. It's just changing their perspective and like their confidence and how much better they feel about themselves. And I think that's really cool.
I like that.
Yeah.
And funny you say that because I came from an endurance background where lighter was better and like the whole Lance Armstrong strength of weight.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, it's hard to get that out of your mind.
Oh, it's so hard. It's so hard. And in your body, the more you do cardio, your body gets used to it and you're actually burning less calories. But and you start to dig into your lean muscle mass, and there's a reason you don't see like really ripped endurance athletes. Mm-hmm. You just don't, because I mean, cardio is great. Don't get me wrong. Cardio is not bad. And a lot of people, it's like cardio you do need, but you don't need that excessive amount of cardio if you're trying to kind of be more toned. Because when you do cardio, it sends the signal to your body to build endurance, right? But if you're not eating enough, like I ran the Twin Cities Marathon in, I think 2015, knew nothing about nutrition. I mean, I eat 1,200 calories and like on my long runs, I take a shot of vodka before them to just mentally get through it, right? I mean, I don't even know how I finished it right now. I kind of want to run another one now that I know a lot about nutrition.
Sure.
But if you're not eating enough, again, your body's going to tear away at your muscle, which all that does is kind of slow you down. And so it's just hard to get out of that mentality. And I think we've just always kind of been taught to, eat less and you shouldn't be hungry. But once you start, the psychological hurdle is the hardest one for people to get over. Like you really can eat more, because what happens when you get out of that and start focusing on protein and lifting weights, you're kind of telling your body, it's like, oh, he's actually going to start, eating the right amount that he's supposed to, and your metabolism becomes more efficient to use your food. And so it's actually, you're eating more and losing weight at the same time, which seems kind of counterintuitive, but that's just never what we've been taught, because being a nutrition coach, it's not this like wildly lucrative business, because if I'm doing my job right, you work with me and then you're done. Like you don't come back. So I have to continuously get new customers. These fad programs like Optivia and about, Herbalife, like all this garbage that are so expensive, they restrict your calories so much so you don't feel as bad spending the thousands of dollars, because you do see a change, right away. But then once you're done with it, when you go back to eating normal, you gain it back and then more weight so much quicker, but then you go back and do the same thing and give them more money like Weight Watchers. So it's a brilliant business model. But they teach you, it's like, oh, you do, 60 minutes of cardio a day because they want you to see instant results. So you keep buying whatever product they're schlepping. And so they don't care about teaching you the right thing so that you can just actually not need them again. Because if I do my job right, I would never have to, I'd never have a client again.
Yeah.
But thank goodness for our society, and they just keep pumping out new shit they think people are going to buy. And even my clients I'll have because I have some people that's been with me for 4 years. From like an accountability standpoint, but they'll say, do you think I should try this? And I'm like, I don't say that word, but it's like, have you learned nothing from me? I'm actually offended that you sent me this stupid semi-glutide pill thinking it's going to help you get like a great ass. Like, I mean.
Yeah. This is more on a personal level. So I've done some ultra marathons, and there was
Brutal.
There was a group of people that would do, they would train and race. They called it fat adapted, to where they're basically
like fat or fat with a D.
Fat, like fat adapted, to where they're basically just they're eating. It's kind of like the ketosis or whatever.
Yeah.
They're just basically eating high fat, not a lot of carbs.
And running an ultra marathon. That's horrible. Do you know why that's horrible?
That's crazy.
Yes. Well, because so people are so scared of carbs. That's another thing. To get people to eat a potato or like a carrot because it has too much sugar. Tell me who's been fat. Think of like our parents and grandparents on the farm. Very few were fat. Mm-hmm. And they were eating lard and butter and apple pie. It's our body processes whole foods tremendously, but carbs are so important because they turn into glycogen and they help build our muscle, lean muscle mass, right? Keeping weight off, but they also give us energy. Mm-hmm. So like when you have no carbs in your body has to it will tap into excess fat. Yeah. And you do see, weight loss if you're doing keto to try to see your to try to lose weight, which sometimes I think I've had 2 clients when they're pretty, have to lose 50, 75 pounds. Mm-hmm. Psychologically, I'll do a lower carb plan for them just to give them kind of the motivation to get started with. But big picture, studies show, so carbs give us energy. So when people who are on keto are often like crabby and bitchy and super tired because our body taps into carbs, right? And especially if you're more fit or lean, it's just going to tap into your lean muscle mass and it makes you grumpy. But studies have shown when you take people, multiple studies, take 2 sets of people, same amount of calories, same amount of activity level, people that don't eat carbs, they'll see the scale drop quicker. But big picture, the people that eat carbs keep the weight off longer by far. Because another reason, especially with the scale, and being on a low carb diet or trying to go into ketosis, our carbs act as like a sponge in your body. So for every 1 gram of carbs in your body, and this is fruit, an apple, banana, rice, whatever, you retain 4 grams of water. So the water retention is there. So you go 2 weeks with 50 carbs or less, and you could drop 12 pounds on the scale, but it's not fat. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely not fat. It's fucking with the scale to make you think that you're losing weight. But some people, and this is where it's so hard because I can say one thing and it makes sense for you, but then it maybe won't apply to somebody else. But sure. Keto was designed for epileptic kids, right? Like that's literally what it was designed to do. And some people, it can work for them and they can lose weight and they can keep it off, but ultimately very few people can keep that as a lifestyle and psychologically not have it mess with them that they just won't have a beer if they want a beer or something like that. Yep. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But for ultramarathon, no, you need so many carbs. I don't know how they probably would, if they would have done kind of a 30-30-40 is where I start most people out. That's with macronutrients. So like 40% is carbs, 30% fat, 30% protein. Yep. I'm starting out with that. As I work with people longer, like me personally, I don't eat a ton of carbs just because I feel better when I don't. I have like probably 120 grams of fat a day. I eat like 3,000 calories a day. And so, but I've noticed over time when I do eat more carbs, I get more sluggish. So each person, it's a little bit different. Yeah. But when you're doing that amount of training, you got to be exhausted. They're passing out. I totally hijacked your story there talking about carbs. Get so excited talking about carbohydrates.
For sure. For me, and I tried it. I can run a long way off fat and low carbs, but as soon as I needed to go like a higher pace where you need those carbs,
you can't. Your body taps into nothing. You got nothing stored.
Just no energy. It was just like I'm running 10-minute pace or slow.
Do you even do any of those little gel things or those energy things?
Oh yeah. I was all carbs. For me, that's what worked.
Yeah. Well, because that's what science. Your body uses it as energy. So, so as humans, we can live without carbs. We absolutely can. But from a fitness standpoint, you're just it's like you're putting all that effort into training and then you're eating like an idiot. Like what is wrong with you?
For sure. But so what brought you into Wyoming?
So I have a younger brother who lives in Wyoming.
Okay.
And I'm very proud of him. He's been promoted over the years. He actually just got another promotion. He's going to get mad at me if he listens to this and I say it wrong. He is the canine/interdiction team sergeant for the state of Wyoming.
Okay.
So he's been a canine handler for narcotics since he started there, and then he's got 3 little kids. So Presley, Harper, and Dalton, and they're 7, 5, and 3, and they're adorable.
Oh, cute.
And it's actually very funny. Last time I was there, when I visited them, so my brother's into health and fitness as well. And his little boy Dalton, who was 3, I often at night I eat. People are gonna think this is disgusting, but so I always mix berries with cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, and protein powder. Right, so basically looks like cat food. Especially if I'm using like chocolate protein powder, it just looks like vomit.
Yep.
Right, and Dalton comes up to me and he's like, "What are you eating?" I'm like, "What do you think this is?" And he goes, "Probably protein." I was like, "What 3-year-old says that?" But I'm like, "Will you give me a hug?" And I told my brother, it was like, that's. I'm like, I wish I would have had that on video. That was epic.
And was it your protein?
Of course. Are you kidding me? Of course it was. My brother loves my cookies and cream. That's his favorite one. So even the gym bros like it. Actually, more men buy it than women, which is interesting. I don't know why I thought women would. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Sure.
You know, products are especially to females. It's like, oh, have this one for females. It's the same thing. It doesn't matter.
Sure. Anything else you want to add or share?
No, this was just wonderful. Thank you for having me on here.
Yeah, this
Had a
is
great
super
time.
fun. Like talking about nutrition and everything.
Oh, yeah. People should follow me on All Day Coach.
Yeah. We'll put that and we'll link that on so people will be able to reach out. You'll get some massive protein orders.
Yes, yes. This was fun.
So yeah, thanks for coming out.
Oh my gosh, of course. Thanks for having me.
Yep. And that's a wrap, folks. A huge thank you to our incredible guests and, of course, All Weather Roof for making this podcast possible. If you enjoyed these conversations as much as we did, don't forget to hit subscribe and share the chills with your fellow business aficionados. Remember, it's not just about business, it's personal, and it's all about the people. Stay inspired, chase those dreams, and let the chills guide you. Till next time, this is Brent, signing off from the Chills Podcast. Catch you on the flip side.